Evening,
Hey,
Matt.
how are you?
Good.
People coming in. Hey, Judy.
Hi.
Are you still overseas?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
country are you in now?
We're in Norway.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't have a really bad cold.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Thanks. Oh, it's beautiful here. It snowed yesterday.
Oh, Jesus.
That's great. I'm glad you're having a good trip.
Yeah, it's really good. We were going on a really nice hike, but when it started snowing, I mean, it was a whiteout. You just couldn't see. It was like warm 1 minute and freezing and really windy. So we turned around and went back.
If it makes you feel any better, it's 40 something here today.
Is
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely is not warm.
Yeah. Well, it's been about 50 during the day.
Got it. Well, glad you're having a great trip. Sounds like a
Thanks.
blast. When do you come back?
We leave tomorrow and go to Oslo, and that's 3 more days there, and then we just fly back from there. 25th, be back.
Very nice. Well, good. We'll enjoy it.
Thank you. I wish I could show you the view from here. It's just all fjords and mountains. It's just
Oh,
beautiful.
that must be very cool.
It's
Definitely on my bucket list, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll give it a few more minutes here and then we'll get started. I haven't seen Tom join yet. Looking for Tom, Christine. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, it's just 6:30.
Yeah, we got a minute. There's Tom. And the only other one is Christine. I know Amy is not available. She sent me a note. Let me know she wouldn't be able to make it tonight. Join in. Hi, Tom. All right. Give it one more minute. 6:30 still. Hello. Hi, Tom. All right, well, why don't we get started? 6:31 here. We'll get in motion. We can go. I can figure out how to share. I know a couple of the agenda and stuff here. Go through that. So 6:31, getting going. So a couple of just the comments that I wanted to share, kind of to kick off here. I did send the amended bylaw wording suggestions from the last meeting to the select board and to the town. And it's supposed to be added as an article for the town meeting coming up on, I think it's the 30th or 31st is the date for that. So that will be on there based on what we talked through in the last meeting. And then the only other thing that I had, kind of, and then we'll get into kind of discuss the completion of the charge, talk through the summary that I sent over as well, kind of a report. Love to get some discussion on that. And then the only thing that, Tom, you sent over the open meeting law, kind of a finalization from the Attorney General or the Assistant Attorney General So they did find that we did have a violation because of the change of times. Looks like they did a fair amount of diligence and to look at, where we are as a committee, and they had no action needed from what I saw, other than we need to be more diligent as a body, if we were going forward on making sure that if we have changes like that, that we have to accommodate and make sure that we give the public plenty of time to respond. And if we can't, then we should be postponing the meetings for the future. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that part, Tom?
No, thanks.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the minutes review. So I saw we have the 423 and the 5-7 minutes from Tom. I read through those. I was looking online. We don't have the 4-9 ones online. Do you know if the full ones from 4-9 were submitted up? I know we voted on those.
Yeah, they were sent, but there's a folder that we have and then one that the town clerk, and then the town clerk also puts them online. So I guess
Okay.
it's still only in our folder, but
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I thought we sent them up, so I was pretty sure on that. So should we does anybody have any comments? Let's start with the 423 minutes. Any comments from anybody on those?
I read them. They look great. I don't know
Yep.
if anybody else read them.
Somebody want to make a motion to
I'll make a
approve the
motion
420?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second,
Second by Kathy. So Christine Brazel,
Yes, a motion, yes.
okay. Green,
Yes.
lay hands out. Judy Remmel,
Yes.
Mark Rivers,
Yes.
Kathy Salvador,
aye.
Tom Seifert,
I
Rhea Windcaller.
Aye.
Rhea?
Aye.
Nope,
Three?
Yeah, we got you.
got
Okay.
it. Thank you. And Broick aye. So good on those. 5-7 minutes. Any comments on the 5-7 minutes for anybody?
I'll make a motion to accept the 5-7 minutes.
Second,
Was it the same too okay. I will add, Matt, you sent me the text in the slideshow. I didn't add
Yes.
in the links to that yet, just so people know. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Brazel,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Remmel,
Aye.
Rivers,
Aye.
Boy.
Salvador,
aye.
Seifert,
I
Windcaller,
Aye.
and Broick. Aye. Minutes are good. Thanks, Tom. Nice job putting those together as always. I don't know how you do that, but they're very professional. They look great. I wish I knew how to embed stuff into the document the way you do. It's pretty slick. So
can
it's a
always show you if you
skill.
want.
a skill.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so 6:40, moving on into kind of topics at hand. So I don't have another meeting on the docket going forward. And I did ask the select board to provide some guidance on, if we complete the charge, we have the summary for them to review. I'm happy to stay on and, get on I told them I would get on a select board call post the town meeting if they want to, kind of do a final wrap up for our group. But I don't have anything else that I think we need to cover unless, they come back to us with something else going forward. I think it's been a long journey, and I think the committee's done really great work, and we've had a lot of great dialogue and a lot of good public input as well throughout the process. So I'd like to open that up for any discussion. Anybody has any thoughts on that?
I think we've completed our mission. We've presented something to the select board and it's on the docket for the town meeting, correct?
It is.
So I guess the only thing that would happen is if the town doesn't like the changes and they vote it down, they could have to come back to us to reconvene the committee and we would decide if we want to do that.
Yep. It's kind of how I saw it as well. So
Because we
I asked
kind
for
of, you
some-
know, we kind of all made a commitment to about this point. So.
yeah, then that's what the charge said. It was originally April and we extended it to May, so to speak, because town meeting pushed out. So I think that kind of stays in alignment with what was stated in the charge. So that's what they were looking for. So I'll, okay. Anybody else on that? Okay.
So do we need to make some sort of motion from the committee to
The, so the
complete
only,
the
I was gonna say,
charge, or what's the
I
rule
think
on
there would
that?
be, I sent over the, I love to get, talk about the report that I wrote up. I think it'd be good to make a motion on that, sending that report to the select board, but want to kind of talk through it with everybody first here. Did everybody had a chance to read it? Apologize, I was under the gun on trying to get that done because I was traveling all last week as well, so I got it under the wire. Like I said, I get it to you guys, but I wish I would have got it sooner, but
I
I'd love
read
to
it at
hear any-
lunch today, so it was a brief read, but I did read it.
Okay,
Yeah, I read it. I thought it was pretty thorough and looked like it captured everything that we've discussed over these past months.
yeah, I tried to kind of corral in the education items that we talked about. I tried to corral in some of the enforcement recommendations that we had and we discussed to try to put those in there. And I tried to stay, factual to the things that, we've talked about. And I had some of the data that I've been compiling. And I finally got that into a report format that we could actually see and read as best I could. But got a couple of hands up. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple quick little proofreading things I caught in there. One, if you could please put me as Mark E. Rivers, just so there's not confusion about which Mark Rivers is on the committee. That's on page 1. On page 4, under the night/headway speed, I believe we're missing an R after activity greater, I believe is what's supposed to be, than headway speed.
Okay.
And then the
Oh,
last thing
yeah.
was, I'm not sure it really makes a difference for us, but I know the chief at one point had talked about the use of the word accident versus incident. And on page 1 there, we have it listed as an accident. I don't know if that really makes a difference from our committee versus how the police handle it, but that was just something that stuck out to me. I remember her saying, so I don't know if anybody else had thoughts on that. I'm kind of okay with either one, but
Yeah, I'm not sure the legal terminology on that, but I feel like it's a person ran into another person, so I'm going to call it an accident. I mean, that's what I'm going to go
Works
with at
for
this
me.
point. Christine?
Yeah, I wanted to say I did read it and I got the same thing that Mark got, those couple little ones. I have to commend the writings of it. It is very well written, easy to read, easy to follow. And I think that makes a big impact on trying to have everything be aesthetic going forward. And I thought it was a great write, and I think it's really good at this point to bring forward. It looks really, really good.
All right,
Thank you. Great job.
Thanks. Judy?
Jen said that the police called it, or that they've been calling it a crash. What happened?
Okay,
Incident.
okay. Is everybody good if we change it to crash? Is that okay? I can do that. Rhea, please.
Yeah, thank you. Can you guys
We can.
begin? All right. Thank you, Matt, for putting together. That's a lot of work to do, having done that. I read it and I was kind of like, where are these statements coming from, such as the regional lake comparisons? Can you give me an idea when we did that, other than when actually presented that to the committee about, I think that was just like 2 weeks ago or so, on the comparison of the lakes. So there's no reference point, and I'm not sure. I mean, if somebody could tell me when we actually did that, other than when I did that presentation, maybe that went up, like at some point, maybe at the action committee. You're they surveyed, heard the regulations, and the only thing really stood out that meeting was when Amy said, you know, if you don't want boats, don't come on Lake Wyola, and we shouldn't be comparing Lake Wyola to other lakes. So that was the one meeting that I really remember any kind of comparison of lakes. I feel like there is information in this report that is not, if there was like a reference point within the report to say, on this meeting, we did this, because being a member of this meeting or this committee, I'm wondering if these things happen. So that's disconcerting for me. And let me preface myself, committee and making votes on it is I'm looking down the line for the safety and welfare on the lake. And I don't want to sign up on anything that will come back and essentially bite us or bite the individuals on the committee. You know, we're responding a recommendation to our town. And in that way, I'm feeling a little disconcerted about the because moving forward, if there's an accident and I sign off and say, you're totally not really addressing increased multi-use on the, I can't do that. So I just want to preface that. That's maybe commit that
Hey,
piece about the
Rhea.
regional.
Rhea, this is Kathy. I'm not sure if it's just me, but you're breaking up like every other word. I don't know if it's my computer or if everybody's getting
No,
it.
I'm having a hard time on trying to piece it together myself.
Yeah, I got, it's
How
open on
about
my end
now?
too.
How about now? Is that better?
That sounds better, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Let me know. Yeah, please stop me. Thank you for that. So in a nutshell, I'm concerned about signing up on anything because I know down the road, like let's say there's another accident this summer and we signed off and said, you know, everything's honky-dory and, you know, kind of keeping the bylaws. We just did one tiny little minute change and, but not really addressing the multi-use. So that is part of my voting on the last meeting on a nay for the bylaws. So anyways, getting back to the regional lake comparisons, I don't remember when that happened other than when I presented. Maybe you could give me a reference point for that.
No, I mean, that was data that I produced on the last meeting. We didn't get into a lot of intricate detail on it, but it's data that I've kind of referenced in the background. I guess didn't pull it up forward, you know, in the last meeting to go into intricate detail on it.
Well, I appreciate
It's
I appreciate you pulling that up, and I think that that is one of the things that I really wish this committee actually did, is to review other systems taking place in other towns and the bylaws. And we just did a very cursory, and this comes out at the first piece on page 2 of the report, as if we did this. It feels very misleading to me.
okay.
So that's a part, and I actually think it needs to be toned down. And then going to page 4 on the proposed enforcement strategy, the local police boat patrols, that was a recommendation by the chief. This committee never voted and say, hey, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I don't remember taking any vote on that. And of course, we all got that letter that our chief is on a current leave of absence. So I really don't know how any of that is going to go moving forward. That's a side note. But that was Chief Burgess's recommendation. That was not a recommendation from the committee, nor did I vote on it, unless, again, that was a meeting that I didn't attend. So I'm concerned that a bit of this report is very leading in terms of the final outcome.
Okay. Thanks, Rhea.
Thank you.
Tom, you're next.
Tracy might be next, or am I next?
Yep, go ahead, Tom.
Okay. Let me just I'd like to share my screen for a moment. Okay. I'm going to send you a request to share.
Yep.
Suze, can you all see what I'm displaying?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. If it's okay, I'll go through with my comments here. Let me know if you want to stop at any point to get other people's comments in. I didn't understand the balanced representation phrase, and I wondered if we should just say include stakeholders, because I don't understand the balance or like where you're what of what. So that's why I highlighted that. In this paragraph here, I added some bold capital things. They don't have to be bold and capital. And then I highlighted questions. So I feel your list didn't include sailors or swimmers or fishers.
Okay.
And I think the difference between paddlers and sailors that wasn't stated is that the other boaters are motor boaters or motorboats or motorboatists. I'm not sure of the word.
Okay.
I think the word motor belongs in there. And so I would take out represent both year-round and seasonal residents because it doesn't fit in with the rest of the list being both of anything. So that's why I have the word.
You'll be able to share this back with me too, right, Tom?
Yeah. So you say here that we held conversations with representatives from the Massachusetts Environmental Police.
So I had conversations with the environmental police and I brought them to the committee, kind of what we talked about when I talked with them. That's what I was referencing there.
But you say the committee held conversations with the Massachusetts Environmental
You
Police.
can change it to the chairman held conversations if you like.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the truth.
Yeah, sure.
And this sentence didn't make sense to me. These tasks were derived from the select board's charge and committee. I thought the tasks we had were all in our charge. I didn't understand the point after and committee part.
Sure.
I don't know if that was a typo or not, but it just didn't make sense to me.
Okay.
You might just want to say how many times we met, because we met monthly for about 5 months and then bi-monthly or 2 weeks, for about 3 months. I don't know. I just thought you might just say we met
Like 15 times or something like that.
Over 9 months or whatever it was, maybe 15 over 9 months sounds about right. I question how much we reviewed Massachusetts and Coast Guard regulations. And I also, as Ria, said, question whether we examined the multiple comparable town lake bylaws. I don't think that's true. I think that's a misrepresentation. And I wonder about just leaving it out. I don't think, I'm going to go through quickly because I have so many.
Yeah.
Tiller, there's a big.
Yeah, we'll be here a while.
Well, we have at least another half an hour. I don't think we were methodical. So I can think we could just leave that out. It was community centered, says as much as it says. The strong safety record that's referred to a few times, that's questionable. I mean, I don't know that we have enough data to say what the safety record of Lake Wyola was. And I think that's part of what we discovered is we don't have data. So every time we refer with confidence towards any sort of record, where is that record? Could be a question. So the committee surveyed multiple lakes. We didn't. That's a misstatement. Lake Wyola.
I would disagree on that because I surveyed many of the lakes and I
but
brought a lot of that information to
that's where you're not making the differentiation enough. It wasn't the committee. You might just put an I statement. I surveyed. I, Matt Baroic. But it's not true that the committee did. You won't find a record of that. You wrote that a few times, you mentioned it in so many words, Lake Wyola's current rules are on the stricter side for its size, but you don't offer comparable rules for lakes of comparable sizes ever. So I'm not sure that's true. In fact, I think there are many lakes of our size or comparable that have stricter rules. So I question that. 30 miles an hour is lower than the 45 mile per hour allowed on larger lakes. It should be lower on a smaller lake. So why mention that? It's not a stricter thing. It's a logical thing for a smaller lake to have a lower speed. You said that the committee determined minor refinements rather than new restrictions were appropriate. I don't know if it was ever put that way. Not a big deal, but I disagree that there was a determination made by the committee. We took very few votes about anything. And one of the only votes we took besides minutes or adjournments was to preserve the bylaws as written, and then last meeting actually to make a few changes. So that determination is, I don't know when that happened. You write that, for example, most pure lakes also limit towables to daylight hours and maintain 150-foot no wake buffers, and mention later on in the next paragraph that that's actually also state law. So they're not doing it as pure lakes, they're doing it because it's a state law. And I think that's an important differentiation. Lake Wyola's meet or exceed neighboring standards. What standards? I don't think it's the right word. They don't exist as such. There's no standards. And the proposed changes maintain consistency with what? I don't know what you're comparing it to. You wrote that the committee also compared the general voting laws of Mass, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, and Vermont. Again, I think this is where you did more than the committee did.
Can I just interject once? I mean, Tom, you're making a lot of sense on things. The only thing that I'm kind of boggled on is when he's saying the committee also, he is the committee. You are the committee. We are the committee. The committee is a group. And even if one person brings in information and then tells the committee, it's still the committee. So you're making it sound like you want to just say Matt did this or Tom did this, or it's a committee. We all discussed it. We all heard it. We've all made looks into the Google.
Not this
you wanna
part,
say.
Christine. We
And
did
I
not
think
all
that when you
compare
keep
the
saying
general
that the
voting
committee
laws.
isn't something that we are together. It's not just one person.
We
I
are
think the
when we
committee
make
is-
a vote on an action. Otherwise, we're members of the committee. So
Yeah.
he could change it to I or some members of the committee. He
But
could
the
say on
committee
his.
talked about it.
He could say
It's still not an I. I am part of that.
when and where. As with Ria's question before, show me the meeting where this happened. It needs a reference. If this is true, highlight, like reference the meeting day and when that happened. That should be doable.
Well, it should be in the minutes.
Right, so reference that in the minutes. I don't see that in the minutes anywhere, that we compared the voting laws of Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, and Vermont.
So no one's looked at that. You're saying no one's ever looked at it. No one's ever talked about different rules from like Lake Congamon or what I think Kathy said.
In a meaningful, significant way that deserves it in the language used here, no. This is a final report. And as Ria said, I don't want to be held liable should there be an accident in the future to a poorly put together report that doesn't include true representations of what happened.
Well, I mean, if we have looked at Mass, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and he had the comparisons on there, it's stated so that somebody in the committee did look this up. It is written in this document. So that is something that.
For anything I'm highlighting, please find a reference and I will gladly accept the
I
refutation.
don't need to find a reference. I know that this is kind of, you're taking the words a little bit and you're manipulating them to.
You don't need to find a reference, but I won't accept it without one.
Well, we're not in college
every
here.
reader will. I
We're
think
in a
every
committee.
reader would accept it better with a reference.
We're not in
Yeah, well,
college
all
here.
right,
This
all
is a
right. Let's,
committee that is trying to.
Christine,
keep-
I'd
let's
like to
keep
go
going.
on with my comments.
I think there's a lot of-
I understand your reaction and it'll probably be similar to things I still have to say for about another 2 pages worth of this document.
Go ahead, Tom. If we can we say maybe like 5-6 more minutes? Is that fair enough? So
Absolutely.
can chime
As
in.
long as, yeah. So the common no wake buffer ranges from 100 to 200 feet, Massachusetts law 150 feet. I guess that didn't say from what, but the escort rule is unique to Lake Wyola about swimmers escorted by boats. It's not. I'll find the other boating law for you. I know that it's more than one other lake that does that. So I don't know that Lake Wyola's speed and buffer limits are more conservative than state norms. Depending on the size and type of lake you compare it to. Standard state regulations, I would just take the word standard out. They aren't considered to be standards. They're just regulations. And so calling them standards is misunderstanding what they are. Those are more questionable whether we really highlighted those things, but I'll try to get to, Mark highlighted that one. 150 feet from shore and swimmers. Right, this was what I said too earlier. You're highlighting it there as state law, when earlier in the document you highlighted as something that was that pier lakes were also maintaining 150 feet, no wake buffers and whatnot. That's why I highlighted these later. You're later showing that's actually Massachusetts law. So trying to call them what you called them earlier felt questionable. So the excellent safety record of the lake, show me that record, please, and I'll believe you. I don't know where these quotes come from that you've used a few times, so I highlighted these quotes. I didn't know if you went back to meetings and used quotes from people.
They're from some of the verbal statements that were made at the public meetings, as well as some of the
where you said as one draft report notes here, I don't know what draft reports you meant. So again, maybe referencing that would be helpful. Maybe referencing these quotes to the people or times they were made might be helpful. Like they make me question. Of the few lakes that do have time management restrictions, I question the word few, and I think it's leading. Why not just of the lakes that do have regulations?
I call 8 out of 47 few.
Okay, then maybe just give the number and not call it few.
Fair enough.
Few is more judgmental than the number.
Fair enough.
And I guess that's my common comment to all of this, is a lot of language that could have been more factual, but the way it's worded leads. Best suited to morning hours as well. Why are they best suited for multi-recreational users? That logic didn't.
We talked about water skiers liking to be out there in the morning hours as well. That was what I was saying.
Multi-recreational users, why not say water skiers?
Yeah.
So again, there, I was like, yeah, it would be future, but I don't know if we ever said that as a group, we believed it would be wise for the town to conduct a comprehensive time study.
I talked about that on the last meeting.
Yeah. From many of the majority agreeing that there is ample time for all users. I don't remember that exact agreement of any majority. Again, that implies we kind of took a poll. And I don't remember us taking a majority-oriented poll about whether we agree there's ample time for all users. This, as Rhea pointed out, was concerning for me. Well, let me start with, again, you say here we're developed in partnership with state authorities, and only you claim that. I've never met a state authority in this process. So I think that needs to be cleared up. The committee proposes a visible, friendly, tiered approach. I suppose I do, but I don't remember saying that. These things were never discussed by us in any way that said we agree to all of this. All of the things I highlighted here, I was thinking to myself as I read it, oh, maybe he's going to highlight that
These were all the things that I've had on those multiple PowerPoints for 10 meetings. We've talked about all these things. So we're not supposed to make so we're not going to complete the charge and you're giving an enforcement recommendation? Is that what you're saying?
We never,
doesn't make any
in
sense.
my experience, I thought, let me put it this way. I thought you were presenting this expecting to vote on this section of the text tonight, because we've never made a collective statement as a committee about these highlighted items here. Again, we've only talked about keeping the bylaws the same as a vote. If you look at our votes, we never collectively polled ourselves, do we say yes to this? As our report notes, was just a note for me to look down the line to see if you note it. This behavior, I don't know, maybe just violations. This is typically not intentional. That's a finding that I don't think we're in a state to make. I don't know that there's any findings anywhere to say what's typical or not typical or intentional or not intentional. So I would recommend just not even mentioning that. I don't think we're going to have much luck putting things onto the state beach. I don't know if we have any jurisdiction to do that, but you might want to put that we also could put this sign at LWA beaches and not just at the LWA clubhouse. These two, as much as I would agree with all of these things, we didn't technically ever make a group vote to say this is what we stand for, believe, wish for, etc. I don't know if we need to be involving the LWA website as any sort of official policy, since they're not a municipal organization with us. I don't know that I would confirm that the existing bylaws are fundamentally sound and often exceed what other lakes require. I think that's something I don't think I've ever said. I don't know if most of the public is going to understand the word accretive. And otherwise, this document was very understandable for what I would consider a member of the public. And I don't know that we have a clear statement from what the community about what their priorities are and whether they really believe in such an ordering of education followed by reasonable rules, etc. I just don't know that we've ever done a community priority polling of that nature.
That's kind of what I heard when we did the
It might be what you heard, but
open
I
meeting.
don't know that we've ever, as a
What I
group,
heard.
said that these is what we believe the community's priorities are in that order. It feels as though it's a way to highlight, or actually to back burner the text of the law that would be the educational material. So I just wonder whether it is truly the community's priorities to differentiate along those parameters. Thank you for listening me out. I do have grave concerns about approving something that could leave open too much chance for harm to people. Thank you again.
Thanks, Tom. You'll send me that, please? The updated version, or the where you had all your notes and stuff.
This is what I have. I mean, I could send you this as highlighted.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I think you have a lot of really
I'm
good
not
points. I don't
really
agree with all of
looking
them, but
forward to
I do
spending
think
much
there's
more time on changing it because it feels so disrespectful of what actually really happened in so many points that it doesn't seem like a good expenditure of my time.
okay.
I'm very offended that it was so blithe in its language about representations of things that I can't even find in my memory as having occurred.
All right. Kathy? Or I think Mark Rivers was up next. Sorry. All
Yeah,
right.
so I mean, I just wanted to point out the idea that, like Tom saying that maybe we didn't actually pull out and look through. All right, today's topic is we're looking at all the different Massachusetts laws and stuff. I personally went through a bunch of this stuff as preparing for these meetings. So I don't love the idea that you're saying like we didn't do any of this and that the work that we did do was meaningless because we didn't complete the work while we were sitting here in the meeting. And I guess, yeah, my expectation was that all of us would be looking up these things on the back end, not showing up to a meeting to review them all together. Cause I don't see that as being, a productive use of our time. So, when Matt puts that, the committee was looking over these things, I think many of us were looking over these things. So maybe changing words to committee member might be, worthwhile and whatnot, but I don't want to have the information out here that we were not looking at these things because I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I was. And my understanding from conversations in the meeting, it sounds like other people had as well because they weren't just coming up with stuff out of thin air. So that's all I've got to say about that.
Thanks, Mark. Kathy?
I just wanted to say, in response to Ria's concern about liability on the part of the committee, I think the ultimate liability is going to lie with the select board and the town folks who will be looking at voting on whatever we put forward to them. I feel like we do have liability to a certain extent if we do nothing for this year, because that leaves us with the status quo. And in my mind, that's not acceptable. We needed to do something. And I think what we're proposing to do is exactly what we need for this season, which is getting underway very shortly. So I don't think a volunteer committee could be held liable for any of this stuff. I think the ultimate responsibility is with the town and the select board, but I feel like we've done, as a volunteer committee, we're not all experts on committee function and, voting and protocols, although we try our best. We've all had open meeting law training, but I feel like we've done our best to put forward what we all discussed, what the majority of us voted last time we met. And I think this report, maybe with a few of the recommendations that Tom made, references to dates and times where we can pinpoint them. I think this report is something that we should push forward. I move that we make the changes that we all agree make sense based on what Tom suggested. And then maybe we need to vote on the enforcement options if everybody feels like that was a missing link in our work. But I feel like if we do nothing for this season, then I think we look worse than if we put forward something that in good faith, the majority of us have agreed should be done. That's that.
Dave?
I appreciate the work that Tom put in and some of the recommendations. I'm just confused. I'm hearing that the bylaw change recommendations that we made are on the town docket town meeting. Am I wrong on that?
No, they should be on they should be in the warrant. I haven't seen an example of the warrant yet, but
So
what
I guess
understood,
I question the necessity of the report if the end result is already in town warrant. So
But
I guess
our
that's my
charge-
first comment. Did they require that from us?
the charge asked us to do the three things: look at the bylaws, make a recommendation, recommend enforcement, and also education. Those are the three things in the charge.
But then, does it say that we have to
So-
present the final report?
Doesn't say you have to send a final report.
I mean, you've done a
But
lot of work and I appreciate it. And Tom's done a lot of work, but I don't know where it's relevant at this point. If there's a charge on the town meeting that's voting on the bylaw changes that we recommended. So that's just my first thought.
Right.
And then my second thought is to Tom's concern and Rhea's concern about the legal thing. To be honest with you, Tom, after the whole open meeting law thing went down, I had to go seek my legal counsel from work because I was concerned that it might have been a Reg O violation, and I have to report that. And at the same time, we had a very long discussion about all the crap I do in town, the committees that I'm on, and potential liability. And I was assured by my legal counsel that I am good to go. So that's just me, and I just wanted to let you guys know that. And I think that the bank's legal counsel is pretty good. So I just wanted to share that to try to ease some of those concerns.
I've done the same too, Dave. When the open meeting law complaint came up, I sought counsel as well.
Yeah,
So.
I had to.
Me too. Okay. Well, I think, good dialogue here on what we've talked about. I mean, I'm open to, making some, some tweaks and some changes on this and submit it if the committee wants me to. If we want to go with, we disband without a report, I'm open to that. I think it'd be great to give the town, some enforcement ideas as well as in education ideas. That's what we did spend a lot of time on, and we anchored on the idea that we wanted to do more education. I would love to see some signage and, get awareness out to people so that we could make impact, as Kathy stated, this year. So to me, I'd like to send them something. I'd like to, you can get on a call with them and review the findings, and again, I think, Tom, I applaud and acknowledge, a lot of the references you made, and I can change a lot of that, I do think a lot of it is representative of what was in discussion. And yeah, they each weren't voted on, but I do think a lot of this is all, I mean, I went through all my notes as I try to compile this report, and I kept, a binder of notes here on my iPad from all these meetings that we've had. So it's not like I was just trying to create things out of nothing. It was all in inferences and discussions that were had within the committee, and also through the open meeting, public meeting session that we had as well too. So, Mark, go ahead.
I was just gonna like point out the idea here, even if we haven't had necessarily previous votes on all of this stuff, voting to submit this report is in a way a vote for any of these suggestions or against any of these suggestions. So I think as long as we are going to vote whether or not to submit this, I would hope that that would alleviate people's concerns and express the views of the committee by a vote of what is being presented here in the report.
Are you making a motion to vote on the report, or what are we doing here?
That was just a general comment. I was gonna let everybody else make their
Okay.
comments first.
Everybody else talk.
Before getting a motion. I see some other hands up, so.
Okay, good. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, if I can talk directly to Dave, please. I hear you, and I am glad I've become aware. I had some awareness already about, I guess, what's called indemnification, about being on a public body such as ours and whatnot for decisions we make. And that is helpful to know when it comes to decisions that, I worry I could be held liable for if there were another accident on the lake or whatnot. But there is also just that other side of me that I would call it maybe like an ethical question of comfort and whatnot, and not just with the word liability, but whether there's also like an ethical responsibility I might feel to approving only what I feel are really solid, good, safety-oriented words in the end. So that's also where I'm coming from, besides just legal liabilities.
Okay, understood. And I wasn't trying to give you legal advice, Tom.
Yeah, oh yeah, I hear you, but I just wanted to make sure I got a chance to let you know that, please.
Yeah, thank you.
And the other thing I was going to say, sorry. Well, right. It is on the warrant. I did get a chance to see the warrant last night. I think somebody had a question about that. The changes that were sent over from the last meeting. And it was interesting to see that at the end of the document as a conclusion, it didn't seem to matter so much that the conclusion is already concluded. And so many.
Yeah, I know. I read that too, and I kind of was like,
has already
after
really
I wrote it, I was kind of like,
through,
that's
so
probably
I totally see Dave's comment too about the what is the reason, or what does it achieve type of thing. If that's I don't, you might not have said it that way, Dave, but so yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. It is an interesting thing to note that it is on the warrant. We are there. And I wanted to add that I'm not sure that there is much substantive change presented, and that's part of my ethical quandary with what is now on the town meeting warrant, because as far as I can tell, the only real change from what wasn't already existing state law or Shutesbury town bylaw is the 6 miles an hour from sunrise until 8 a.m., which is new verbiage in our bylaw, but existed as verbiage for many years already in the Lake Wyola etiquette cards that they would send out every year. And from my living here is a known practice that existed. So I didn't get to, I guess, get that point in earlier, that part of what is haunting for me about the potential of what could happen if not enough change happens is that not enough change has happened in what we're proposing. We're proposing something that is actually what's already existed, even though some of it didn't exist as written in Shutesbury Town bylaw, but it did exist already as historical practice. So I didn't get a chance to make that point, that what we're proposing, what is on the town meeting warrant, does not really represent substantive change from historic practice.
I also think that a lot of what we discussed as as a committee was around education and trying to drive more education into the community as a whole, so that would drive the substantive safety change and awareness of what people should or should not be doing on the lake in congruency with the bylaws. And I think that's what the committee voted on, is that, okay, if we keep even if it's a minor change, the emphasis for me from the get-go was I really wanted to get signage and education, which is why I spent the time to do that work, because I think that's what's going to drive more safety and awareness on the lake more than anything. So I don't know, again, report, no report. I do think that the educational portions of the report is something that we should give to the select board at a minimum. And if we choose to say, hey, we can take a vote on two things. We could vote on the enforcement recommendations. We can also then vote on just the educational recommendations, and I could present it to the select board in like a PowerPoint format, kind of like what we've done in the past, and leave the report part out of it, if that's what the committee so chooses to do. I'm open. Because I don't, to Kathy's point, I don't want another season going by and going to the boat ramp or going to the LWA beaches or the clubhouse, and nobody's driving awareness to make the lake safer. To me, that's kind of been the heart and soul of what we've been trying to do as a whole, because nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. We don't want any more crashes, accidents, incidents, whatever we want to call them. I want to see everybody multi-recreational, having a good time, people being safe, looking out and being neighborly to one another in the way that, the community should be. So I'm completely fine with flushing the report in exchange for, let's vote on the educational recommendations and the enforcement recommendations. And those are the three components of the charge that we were set forth to do. Now I can present that to the select board in a very easy manner in 3 PowerPoint slides. One for bylaws, which we already did, one for education, one for enforcement. And I'd be more than happy to do that. And not put everybody, kind of go through the grind of, doing the report, because you did make a lot of great points, Tom. I'm not gonna argue those. I think you are the scholar at hand from a background perspective. So you've read a report or two. So I felt like I was I was getting scolded by my professor a little bit. So take that in a good way. But I am more than happy. But I do really feel that we are all convicted in safety from the beginning. We all joined this committee for safety reasons. So I mean, again, if we want to, why don't we just do, if someone's willing to make a motion, let's vote on those enforcement actions, and people can choose one way or the other. If it's not, again, those are the things I compiled from, our many meetings, and I've been kind of keeping track of those. Happy to do that. And then we could vote on the education, and I can kind of pull them up if people want to see them, or Tom, or I can share them, right? Tom can share them too.
Rhea's got her hand up. I don't know if you can see her, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, and then somebody would have to make a motion anyway. Rhea, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Well, I think what you're saying is great, Matt. I agree, moving forward with that. And, part of this is the education. This has been my little quagmire in this the whole time, is that you're talking about the lake community and then the greater community. And there's only so far we can educate the greater community. It's a small slice of the pie that actually uses the lake. A lot of people come from all over the map, including guests for residents on the lake. So education is key, but I just want to echo with Tom that I do feel it doesn't go far enough. And that is why I'm concerned. I agree with that ethical, just the ethical factor that you want to be able to sign behind something that actually is going to be able to go forward and be substantial, litigation aside. So, yeah, I mean, I will make a motion to what you just said about moving forward with the educational piece to kind of move this.
Okay.
process.
So the motion, do we have a second?
I'll second Rhea's motion.
Okay. So the community education signage, this is what we'd be working on to send out to, and again, I'll put this on one page for the select board. If you look at that signage a little bit too, I did kind of tweak it a touch, even though it's a little blurry in this rendition. I did break it out based on our last discussion that we had. I put the Shutesbury bylaws, some of the Massachusetts voting bylaws. I had them in rules and etiquette before. I pulled those out, and then I had, some safety, the safety suggestions, not a, and I took out, a few of the other things that we talked about. So anyway.
Now note that you also did use the word could. A sample sign could look like the following. So you left room for not being binding, and you're muted actually at the moment.
Had a barking dog, so I apologize. Yeah, so it could look like that. So it's not verbatim.
I think that
We
helps,
can,
just having the word could.
yeah, it kind of gives us a little bit of leeway that it's not perfect. In your note of the state beach, I'll put in there too, by the way. I think we can recommend it in the LWA beaches. So we second it. So should we go through roll call here?
I think
Brazel?
I think
on the
Judy's got her
education?
hand up still, Matt.
Oh, what's that?
I think Judy may still have her hand up.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
Is it Judy or for Jennifer? Do we have outside people or is it?
We have some outside people, and then because we're getting close to time, I've been keeping
Yeah,
it
if it's
kind of to just
outside
the,
people, we gotta move forward.
It
Yeah.
would be nice to include the community, though. This is what we are, ordered with. So
Okay, Jennifer, go ahead. If we could keep it brief, though, please. Jennifer? All right, moving on. All right, why don't we do a roll call on the motion to approve the educational side?
Right.
So, Brazel,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Remmel,
Aye.
Rivers,
Aye.
Salvador,
Aye.
Seifert,
Aye.
Windcaller,
aye.
Baroic eye. Thank you.
We have consensus. I knew it would happen in this committee, Matt. You said it wouldn't happen, but I believe it does. I'm gonna have that note, 7/25, May 21st.
Wow. So you're saying we made history is what you're saying?
Well, for our committee, which I've really enjoyed being part of.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we want to do the same for the enforcement recommendations or any tweaks to enforcement recommendations that would get the committee comfortable? These are some things, again, these are things that were spoken about. We thought that having, Shutesbury police presence from time to time, not saying every week, every hour, 8 hours a weekend, but intermittent, frequenting of the lake would just bring people, take notice, and if they could hand out brochures and safety rules and help educate people, I think that kind of falls into Shutesbury's, purview. Again, these are recommendations. They could say, hey,
Shutesbury is actually a road town, not a lake town. That's what it's known as, a road town. I'm very concerned about the Shutesbury police patrolling the lakes, as it's not their defined duty, like the environmental police. That leads me to great caution, especially my experience with Shutesbury police on the lake in years past. They're not. This is not their dedicated job, and all due respect to their work. It's really about road safety. That's what they have the most training for.
I guess that I want to chime in. I sort of agree with Rhea. I'm concerned about draconian measures coming in. I think that, some sort of presence, would be beneficial to just keep people on their toes. But I don't think anyone wants, something over the top. Now, the boat being on the lake once a month, I don't know if that's draconian. So I kind of get what she's saying.
I'm happy to say, you know, for example, once a month, you know, do a patrol, you know, kind of like I stated here, kind of leave it at that.
We're a town under 2,000 people with a very limited budget. So putting that before the town with our, you know, the small resource that we have, it just seems we're putting our police officers at risk and then in turn the citizens. We have environmental police, maybe we invite them once a month to come up to.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, when I talked to Trevor, he said he does plan to come up, you know, from time to time. He does do parts of the Connecticut River, so he's crazy busy that way. But he did say that he was going to be making a stop or two here at the lake this summer.
That'd be great.
Excuse me, maybe we could add a little clause of, like, you know, depending on qualifications and budgetary resources, or, you know, just something, you know, then Shutesbury Police would conduct blah, 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 because I hear what Ria is saying. At current time, they might not be in a position training wise to do some of these things. They might not, you know, routinely be,
If
they're not
if
now
you,
at any rate, so it's a little, you know,
I,
please.
I'm open. I'd like to say something about
Mhm.
Shutesbury. If you want to help send me over a you know, a benign, you know, a kind of a statement, Tom, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
But
Ria, does
I
that
think
help?
it'd be hard to go back to the select board and say we don't want anything from the Shutesbury Police. I think that'd be hard to say.
No, I don't
Right.
think you want to say that at all. I think you
Yeah,
have to
but like,
you have to limit it to what's realistic. And I honestly,
right.
I don't see boat patrols this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just me.
How about, you know,
I think the
periodic,
state, that's the environmental police's job, and maybe we should reference them. I don't know.
Might we put in the phrase, as training and resources allow after periodic boat patrols? Would that kind of cover, we want them to be trained, so they're not just any police officer going out there. And then we don't want them necessarily taking away resources from the rest of the town.
We
Excuse me,
could-
but if they are available, then it would be appropriate.
from time to time type of thing.
or perhaps just law enforcement in general. So it's not one department or the other. You kind of
No, I
keep
like that.
law, you know, we welcome law enforcement's input and advice on safety. And then it's kind of like a day by day step because they have a lot going on just to manage the Route 202 and et cetera.
Yeah, I like that use of just law enforcement. That's a good suggestion.
As training resources provide from time to time, law enforcement would be welcome on the lake to help advise on safety protocols for the lake. Something like
Or
something
not even
benign
on the lake, but to advise.
to advise.
Yeah.
And we're
Okay.
just making this recommendation to the select board. They're well aware of what the limitations are with law enforcement in town. So I think all we're saying is, you know, this would be ideal if it could work, but we're not directing them to do it. We're just making some suggestions that they can either take up or not.
Fair.
Looking at the clock, can I respectfully ask that another member of the public be acknowledged?
Sure.
Thanks.
Tracy, if you could chime in, but keep it, if you can do a couple of minutes, it'd be great.
I don't even need a couple minutes.
Okay.
I'm just going to suggest that perhaps you could put in something in this section asking, you know, for if they could choose holidays, you know, if I'm trying to think, I'm kind of tired right now, how to word that, but just, you know, prioritizing the holidays, because I think that those are the days that are the traffic's the most.
And now we had that in there. You said, especially around holidays. Does that
Oh,
make
you
sense?
did. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yay. 4th of July, please come check out what's going on. I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so I think I would like to combine those two instead of like environmental police and local police, just law enforcement. I'll combine them to one and just make it benign that, you know, as the resources are available, we would welcome law enforcement to come help advise on safety on the lake and potentially do patrols if there's training and resources available. How about something like that? Is that fair with everybody?
Yes.
That's what I have written down here on my iPad here.
That's
I make a
perfect.
motion to vote to accept how Matt just proposed the law enforcement portion of.
I think it's very generic and I don't think we need to do any more than that, quite honestly.
Perfect.
Second that.
Okay, and then in the Lake Wyola Association piece, I'm gonna take that out, okay? Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, I'll
okay.
take that out. Do we have a second for the motion?
We did.
I think we did.
Second.
Okay, let me go through a roll call. I'm gonna fall off my stool if we get 2 consensuses in a row, but that's all
You're going to.
right. Brazel,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Rummel,
Aye.
Rivers,
Aye.
Salvador,
Aye.
Seifert,
Hi.
Windcaller,
Aye.
and Baroic, aye. So I will make that. This is gonna be in a yay. Do we have like the applause thing? Where's the does this not have the fun
We only have the
emojis?
raise hand. We don't have the other reactions. I'll have to raise your hand.
Yeah, right. We actually have we use this ethos system aside. It's an entrepreneur operating systems that we use, and on their software they have little icons, and there's one that says like if you're being a bully, you can like put up a bull, or if like you want the elephant in a room, you can put up an elephant. It's pretty. It's like it becomes quite comical. Sorry, just what people do.
We
So
need that.
I was looking for the icons. They're really kind of fun. But all right, so I will do that. So you can expect I will put together like the 3-4 page document because we're now having another meeting. I will send that to everybody so you guys see exactly what we're gonna do with the select board and what I'll present out, but it'll be pretty much exactly what we have. So I do appreciate everybody's input. Thank you. And you guys all have the report that was highly corrected by Tom at any time to read and used for reference in the future. But I think I think we've come to a good point, and I really.
Am I hearing a motion to adjourn the committee
Yeah, you
and
don't have to
meeting?
finish.
He was finishing his speech there, David.
Say it again, Dave.
I was saying, am I hearing a motion to adjourn the committee
I think
and
not yet.
the meeting?
All right, do we have a second?
Second, if Matt was done with his speech.
I'm good. I'm happy.
Roll call.
Roll call. Let me go. Hang on. Brazel,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Rummel,
Aye.
Rivers,
Aye.
Salvador,
Aye, thank you.
Seifert.
Just to clarify, is this to never meet again? I
Yes.
didn't- That's how I understood it, Dave, and I just wanted to make sure, like, are we sure we're in a position to?
I
I
mean,
didn't
I
know
think
that.
I thought it was
we're
the
in
end of the
position
meeting.
unless I hear otherwise from
This
the.
is to end the committee and end the meeting.
I thought we're just only ending the meeting.
Yeah, I did too.
All right.
All right. Well, we end the meeting and we reserve the right to come back if the select board needs us to. How's that?
All right. So I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
Second.
Okay.
All right. So back to roll call. I'm going to try to do it on my thing. I'm in front of it. Brazel,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Rummel,
Aye.
Salvador,
Aye.
Seifert is aye.
Rivers,
Rivers is
Oh, sorry, you
aye.
jumped Mark.
Rivers.
Aye.
All right. Seifert,
Aye.
Rhea,
Aye.
Lincoln, Heroic eye. So unless we hear something back from the select board, we don't have any other standing meetings at the moment. I want to thank everybody. This has been a very long and, interesting journey for all of us, I think, but I think I'm thrilled that we have some consensus at the end. Feels good to say that word and feel good about it.
Yeah.
I wish everybody a very safe summer. Look forward to seeing everybody on the lake. And hopefully some of these recommendations that we make to the select board get put into place and take effect and make a difference. That's what I'm hopeful for everything in that regard.
You're here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Matt.
Have a great
Yeah.
one, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well. Bye-bye. Be safe.